On any other night, the streets of the city were calm, a tapestry of yellow streetlights and distant sirens. For Ethan, the taxi driver, this was routine, a series of uneventful rides punctuated by the occasional drunken reveler or tired worker. This night, however, began just like any other. The clock on his dashboard glowed 1:30 a.m. as he cruised down Main Street, searching for a fare. His radio hummed softly, the monotone of the late-night DJ barely registering in his mind. Then he saw her. A lone figure standing under a flickering street lamp, her hand raised half-heartedly. Ethan slowed the cab and rolled down the passenger window. "Need a ride?" he asked, trying to sound cheerful despite the hour. The woman nodded silently and slipped into the back seat, her presence immediately altering the atmosphere in the car. The first thing Ethan noticed was the cold, a sharp, unnatural chill that seemed to emanate from her. "Where to?" he inquired, glancing at her through the rearview mirror. Her eyes were hidden in the shadows, her face pale and expressionless. She whispered an address he didn't quite catch, but he nodded and began to drive. Minutes turned into an eternity as the woman remained silent, staring out the window. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled over him. Strange noises filled the car, soft whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The dashboard clock seemed to slow, its ticking growing louder as if marking time to some dreadful countdown. Suddenly, the cab's interior light flickered. Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror again, and the back seat was empty. He slammed on the brakes, heart pounding. The car skidded to a stop in the middle of the deserted street. He turned fully around, eyes scanning every inch of the back seat. Nothing. Not a trace of her ever being there. Panic surged through him. He checked the street outside, also empty. Confusion turned to terror as the car radio crackled, a distorted voice whispering his name. Ethan spun around to face the road, but it wasn't Main Street anymore. He was on a dark, fog-covered lane he didn't recognize. Before he could react, his phone rang. The screen flickered with an unknown number. Hands shaking, he answered. "You can't escape," said a familiar, cold voice. The line went dead. Ethan tried to drive, but no matter which direction he took, he found himself looping back to the same foggy lane. Each time, the whispers grew louder, the voice more insistent. "You can't escape." Days turned into nights, but he never saw the sunrise. Fuel never ran out, and he never grew tired. He was trapped in an unending nightmare, the ghostly presence forever haunting his cab. And if you think this is just a story, think again. Some tales come from dark places of forgotten truths. If you dare, subscribe for more spine-chilling stories. Because sometimes, just sometimes, reality is far more terrifying than fiction.